happened to real men? What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s and the 60s?
Ha ha! Ha! Take that. Oh, honey, caught me practicing my 1-2 combo in case you overcooked the meatloaf again.
We're tired of seeing these beta males walking around acting so sensitive.
Oh, are you pissed off that men decided to slap that Uno reverse card down on you? God forbid that men show emotion. I actually read that article. And you know what? They're right. Did you know men have the highest suicide rate? Did you also know it's because of phrases like man up and be a real man why men bottle up all their emotions until they can't take it anymore and they lash out aggressively? Did you ever wonder why a dog is a man's best friend? Because it is the only creature on earth that a man feels comfortable talking to about his emotions without being judged. And the dog will still love him at the end of the day. Your comparison to real men are the men who grew up in the 50s and the 60s. Do you behave the way the women did in the 50s and 60s? Didn't think so. Get fucked, Karen.
To real men. What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s and the 60s?
So the average age of like a father in the 1950s and 60s was about like 23. So then 1955 minus 23 would mean that the average like father of the time was born in 1932. And if you do 2020, which is the year it is, minus 1932, you would get 88. So they would be 88 years old. And unfortunately, the average like age for like a man to live to in America is 76. So, and because 88 is like a lot older than 76, most of these men are probably dead, unfortunately.
What happened to real men? What happened to...
Girl, I have been asking the same thing. Where are all these men at with their flannel looking all lumber sexual and whatnot?
What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s and the 60s?
Honey, I'm home. Oh, fuck me. What a day at the office. We're doing this ad campaign at the moment to market cigarettes to children. And it's just very stressful, I tell you what. And I've just noticed there's some dirty dishes in the sink. And I did tell you to wash them before I left this morning. So, you know the drill, love. Put them up.
What happened to real men? What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s?
Silence, woman. A man is speaking. Oh, hi. If that rubbed you the wrong way, it's because you're not looking for traditional masculinity. Hello, my name is Doug. I am a dominant and a feminist. You see, you have your platform as a result of feminism. Now, if you want a 50s, 60s style household, by all means. But it is your choice to do so. Anyone who submits to me and me telling them what to do does so of their own free will, because it is a choice that they have. And at any point in time, they can revoke that choice. I have no problem taking the dominant role in any relationship, but I can't tell someone what to do without their consent. Also, you will have to forgive my lack of attire. I am Floridian.
In the 50s and the 60s, us women are sick of it. We're tired of seeing these beta males.
Okay, I wasn't alive in the 50s to 60s. I was born in 1986. I'm 35 years old. But I find it interesting how all these people on the line who keep romanticizing and fantasizing about how great it was for women in the 50s and 60s weren't alive then. Have y'all noticed this? All these white women who are like millennials and Gen Zs who want to live out this Leave It to Beaver fantasy. But where are the women who were actually alive in the 50s and 60s chime in on how great it was? That's the chunk of the conversation that seems to be missing.
Men. What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s and the 60s?
Girl, if you don't want to work, just say that.
And this is absolute crap. What happened to real men? What happened to men who were the heads of the...
What do you guys think about my hair? I think it's really cute. I took some pictures the other day. You want to see? Look. Like, come on. I ate that, right?
Here's the thing. Men don't respect you. Your father doesn't respect you. Your husband doesn't respect you. The reason I know this is because if they did respect you, you would not be blaming other women for your problems. It is not the fault of the feminists that you are unable to stay home and take care of your children and be a housewife. That would be the fault of the American economic system, which does not allow a family to be raised on one income. Feminists did not engineer late-stage capitalism. Men did. And as a man, I will tell you this. Men do not care about you. You are fighting on the wrong side.
Let men be men. Stop letting them wear makeup and paint their fingernails. It's pathetic.
Let men be men unless they're being men in a way that I don't think is manly. In that case, don't let them do what they want to do. Logic.
What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s and the 60s?
You will only ever catch white women coming on here and glorifying the 50s and the 60s as an ideal time for women. And once you start doing that, you've already lost the argument because you just excluded all women of color from whatever the hell you're talking about, A. B, talking about, beta males as if the concept of alpha male exists when literally the creator of the term has since denounced the term is giving uneducated. And overall, I'm just concerned for Miss Republican Barbie because if she can't find a toxically masculine man just by walking outside, then that's on you, miss. I don't know where the men that you're looking for are literally everywhere. Me, as a liberal person, can't seem to get them away from me. So, can we switch, I guess? You can.
What happened to real men? What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in...
God, there's a lot to unpack in a minute, so I'm going to do this really quickly. Number one, a lot of the sons of those men had such miserable childhoods, they swore blind never ever to be like their fathers. Number two, your brand of rejecting science and people who actually understand what they're talking about, when applied to COVID, is meaning that your death toll is absolutely horrific. Number three, please don't speak for all women, because you really, really don't. Most of us want gentle, supportive and pleasant parents, not over testosterone bully boys. And third, just as all women are women, if you identify as male, you are a man. You are a man if you are wearing makeup, you are a man in dress and high heels. If you identify as a man, no matter what, you are a man. And as long as you are a decent human being, nobody cares about anything else. Thank you.
What happened to real men? What happened to men who were the heads of the household back in the 50s?
You burnt the casserole? That's funny. You mean to...
So the Los Angeles Times reported that traditional masculinity is officially labeled harmful by the American Psycho...
Yeah, because traditional masculinity is harmful. Because it has a history of always being harmful. Do you know who it's especially harmful to? Boys. That's assuming that you know how to. And pause and read again. It's harmful because it embeds this little seed inside boys' minds thinking that they have to be hard, they have to be tough, they have to be rough and just not show any emotion. That is psychologically damaging. I swear to God, y'all would just rather complain instead of do your own research. It's not, Google is free.
Let men be men. Stop letting them wear makeup and paint their fingernails. It's pathetic.
Okay, cool, but what is a man? Go ahead, I'll give you a second to define it. Because I hate to break it to you, but there's not one specific characteristic or physical feature that is unique to men. And no, I'm not talking about biological males for the people who are dense in the brain. Men. Let me guess, your description of men is someone who's strong and dominant and a leader. Yeah, that can describe literally anybody. Anyone can be those things. Probably also said, someone who has a pee-pee and no tatas. Yeah, pee-pee doesn't equal man and tatas doesn't equal not man. So there is no universal way to describe men. Unless you're a Republican like this girl who views the world in such an archaic, patriarchal, misogynistic ass way, where their definition of what a man is supposed to be is extremely rigid. But actually think about it, really reflect on it on your own. Try your best to find a non-transphobic, non-misogynistic way to describe men, whether it be physical features, characteristics, whatever. You said let men be men, right? But what is a man?
reported that traditional masculinity is officially labeled harmful by the American Psychological Association.
Let's unpack that, shall we? I understand you have some weird longing not just for the adorable outfits from the 50s, but for much less adorable attitudes of the 50s. But have you actually looked at the report on which that article is based? By the way, a bit late in your outrage, aren't you? This report came out in 2019 and it is based on 40 years of research on how stereotypical traditional masculinity and beliefs in it have been harming and damaging men. Some definitions would be useful. Pause to read. We talk about the way that patriarchal society has been harmful to women. People usually don't realize that it's harmful to men too. Historically, that resulted in a lot of problems. And yes, we now understand masculinity better than we did in the 50s. We understand the impact it has on boys and men. And we understand that we ought to do something about it, don't we?
Being a woman and getting kicked out of a women's march.
I know the ignorance in you runs really strong, but do not play dumb. You know exactly why you got kicked out. You got kicked out because you decided to cause problems and bring your hate to a women's march for equality, something you do not believe in. You got kicked out because you enjoy antagonizing and harming other women. You got kicked out because you are so full of internalized misogyny that you're practically growing a penis. You got kicked out because you're a huge pick-me girl. It is always women like you that are against their own interest. If it weren't for women like me and other feminists, you wouldn't be able to vote. You wouldn't be able to have your own credit card. You wouldn't be able to purchase property. You wouldn't be able to wear those pants you are wearing. If you don't support women's equality, then why were you there?